Hey there, thank you so much for listening to Something Super Spiritual. My name is Jeffrey Peck, and I am a psychic medium. If you are seeking conversation with loved ones on the other side, or discussion about spirituality, life after life, and anything in between, join me as we discuss all things spirit. We are collectively experiencing a spiritual awakening right now and recognizing that we are much, much more than we once believed. We don't die, and life doesn't end. We are eternal spiritual beings living in this crazy 3D virtual world of existence. Let's talk about it. There we go. Well, welcome to Something Super Spiritual Podcast. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm very happy to be here. I've been looking forward to chatting with you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I love you to smithereens, you know.
Oh.
All right, so tell me then, what was it like to be Tawney as a little girl?
Ooh,
How did you come into your spiritual gifts? How did you know that something different was happening, that there was another world around us, within us? Tell me about that.
It's funny. It was not even a part of my mindset whatsoever until later. So when I was between the ages of 7 and 10, I actually saw auras. At the time, I didn't even know what that meant. I thought that everyone could see colors around people, and I could see it physically. I saw colors. I'd be like, "Oh, you're purple,"
with your physical eyes.
Oh yeah, I like bright, and I would just see it. And me and my siblings, we would play with that. We would have fun. I'd be like, stand against the wall. Okay, right now you're purple. Okay, cool. Now you're yellow. And we would do that all the time. And it took me 20 plus years to say, oh, I was seeing auras. I had no idea. As I got a little older, that aspect went away, but then I saw a spirit. When I was 10, I saw a girl, I think it was a girl, standing over my sister at 1 a.m. And I was like, no, not seeing that. Put the cover back over my head.
Right.
Looked again, she was still there. So that's how I knew it was real. Cause I was like, okay, she's still there. Let me do it one more time. And I looked again, still there. I think she noticed me and she started to fade away. So that was the first time I actually saw spirit. And then maybe a year later, I walked into the bathroom to wash my hands and I saw something in the corner by the bathtub. And this was glowing all white. Maybe that was a guide. Now that I'm older, I'm like, what was that? And then I ran out. And so I started to pray about it because it scared me, because I was able to see things with my eyes. I don't like this. This is weird. Get it away from me. And it went away. It went away for 20 plus years.
Wow.
I didn't think about it again. I forgot all about it. And it's pretty cool kind of remembering all that. And on top of that, I think the house might have been haunted. Didn't pick that up, but I'm like, wait, why was I seeing so what?
Right.
So yeah, so that's kind of what happened. It went away. And, after the age of 11 or 12, and I never even thought about it again until my early mid 30s.
Okay. And that's when the mediumship started to take form for you.
Yes. So the paranormal investigating aspect actually came first.
Okay.
Very, very interested in that. We used to watch Ghost Adventures all the time.
Yep.
Love to do tours because I did a corporate job where I traveled all the time.
Yes.
And so I'd be like, oh, I'm in Texas, I'm going to do an investigation. Oh, I'm in Virginia. And I would always just go on these tours with these professional investigators. And I never understood what drew me to it. It was weird. It was my family's like, why do you like that stuff? I'm like, I have no idea. And so I this was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I went to New Orleans and did an investigation. And that was the first time where I said, okay, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something there, because they said, oh, this room is haunted by an old nun. She looks to be in her 80s, and she's this, and they were describing her. And I was sitting there and I was like, not feeling a nun. Nope, don't feel that. I actually feel like there's a woman in here who's about 25, 26. She has brown hair. She's saying she's a nurse. That was the first time I was getting all this information. I was like, awesome. Why? And then maybe an hour or so later, they did a spirit box session. and in the next room, and they came and told us, said, "Oh my God, you guys, we got the best evidence. This woman came on the speaker. She said she was a nurse. She died here when she was 25." And I was like,
There
I
you
was like,
go.
wait. It was
There.
like, what do you mean? And so that was the year where I said, this was 2008, no, sorry, 18. I said, okay, there might be something there. And I started to take classes, kind of like, thinking maybe I was just intuitive. And
Mhm.
I had two different teachers say, no, I think you're a medium. I was like, no, I'm not. Nope, nope, don't know what you're talking about. And then another one's like, I think you're, nope, no, I'm not. I kept denying it. I was like, I'm just an intuitive. They're like, no, you're a medium.
Right.
Finally. So I started developing on that. And so I've been recently studying this within the last 4 to 5 years, studying psychic and mediumship. I would say it's fairly new, because the paranormal aspect came maybe 10 years earlier. And so that's why I always tell people I consider myself a paranormal investigator first, and
Mhm.
then a psychic second, because I like to go in there and use the tools and figure out what's going on without really tapping in until I really, really need to.
Right. So, okay, let's talk then a little bit more about your paranormal
Mhm.
adventures. So when you did start this, 10 years ago after watching Ghost Adventures, did you expect, like, I would think that you would have probably expected what we see on TV with Zach and
Mhm.
the Taps Ghost Hunter team, and did you expect that? And uh, what was it like? Were you let down? Were you disappointed? Like, wait a minute, this isn't like it is on TV, or is it like it's on TV?
It's a mixture because it can be, absolutely. So the TV version, God, an investigation can go anywhere from 7 to 12 hours. It just depends on how large the place is. Whereas the TV show is like 45 minutes, all this happened. No, you could be sitting there for an hour or two and not get any evidence. So that's one thing someone has to know before going into an investigation. But no, when I first started, as I said, I did the tours, but then there was a particular tour here in Los Angeles that I did so much with my friends that the founder actually said, "Why don't you just join my team?" And I was like, "Oh, sweet. Okay, cool." So I joined that team. It was great.
Excellent.
And it was the reason I'm pausing because the way I approach investigations is I always set an intention. I have a different way of investigating. I genuinely I love learning about history. I love learning about the locations. I
Mm-hmm.
love old buildings. I love
Mm-hmm.
old Hollywood, the
Mm-hmm.
people who used to live there and their stories.
Yes.
So I go into it, as I always say, hey, I'm just nosy. I want to know what's going on. Whereas there's a majority of investigators that love that darker aspect. They love to hear about the dark, the evil, the whatever. And to be honest, that kind of scares me.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually I will encounter it. Have I encountered it so far? No, because I've always set my intention for the positive. I want to say the darkest or the most ghost adventure-esque,
Mm-hmm.
experience I've had was at a place about 2 years ago where there was a guest that was taunting the spirits. He was taunting and making fun of them, and they pushed him. He got pushed, and he had a scratch against his stomach. And that was probably the
Interesting.
closest but I needed to see that happen because it was a good example of setting your intention and why
Mm-hmm.
you're there. And
Mm-hmm.
he was there to be a jerk. He was there to push them, and sure enough, he got attacked. I have never been scratched. I've
Right.
never been pushed. I've never been sick where people are like, "Oh, I'm so sick." It's because I always kind of create that barrier.
You have
So I have
parameters.
yeah, and so that's why when you asked that question, I was like, "Ooh, like it can be, it can be like Ghost Adventures, but it's
Mm-hmm.
about what are you looking for as an investigator? What is kind of your goal?" And for people that want to go into that, it's worked for me for years, like what my goal is, what my intention is, and why I'm there. So
Sure. So, in any of your experiences, have you watched Kindred Spirits with Amy or not Amy, uh, Adam
Chip
Berry,
Coffee, yeah,
Adam
um,
Berry,
and Chip Coffee,
yes, and what's her name? It's escaping me. Amy. No, no,
Bruni.
no. Yes, Bruni.
Oh yeah,
Yes, that's
I've
it.
heard of it. I've heard of it. I've seen like parts, but I haven't watched like a full show.
So, so they go in with the intention of discovering who's there and why they're there, with the intention of, telling their story, that it's not always an angry spirit or somebody who's
Right.
there to intentionally, wreak havoc on the house or the people inside. And their stories come out, they tell the stories, and almost every time they leaving the spirits at peace. There's much less activity after they leave because they were able to tell their story. So my question to you is, when you do these investigations, are you able to sense stories like that where somebody just wants their story told, where they just want to be seen?
Absolutely. I'm trying to think. There's a few I've encountered that does come up. There was a theater we did here in Los Angeles a few years ago where, again, they were, the intention from the owners, they were so focused on what happened in that theater, where about 25, 30 years ago, someone was murdered there. And while there, it was like, you know what, there's like a lot of other things here. This theater has been here for a long time. And I remember we picked up a young woman who I'm remembering clearly. I want to say she was air 1930s, 1940s, the era, just how she was dressed. And you could tell she just wanted someone to hear her story. And, she wanted to tell about how she was and how she passed. And if I remember correctly, I believe she was hit by a car in front of the theater back in the 40s and 50s, whatever that was. And one of my male investigators, she kind of was flirting with him, so we got a little bit of her personality. And that was fun because he's a skeptic, and he felt her kind of touch his leg. He was like, whoa, whoa.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God. And he's like, I don't know what to believe because I'm already freaked out. So that, to me, she was a really good example of just learning that history, knowing more about the location, not focusing so much on what the owners or what the media is trying to sell to you. They were trying to tell us about this murder that happened, which we investigated it and we got some evidence, but there was so much more there. And so, yes, it's encountering other spirits and just kind of hearing about them and seeing hearing their lives is very, very interesting. It's, in a way, it's very beautiful too. And that's mainly why I do the work and why I always try to stay positive about being an investigator, because people, they hear that and they're automatically like, oh, you're weird. Oh, you do dark stuff. Oh, you do evil. And I'm like, actually, I don't. That scares me. So don't assume, please don't assume. Yeah.
So you said that you are a paranormal investigator first and a psychic medium second. While you're doing these investigations, do your teammates come to you for mediumship? Like, do they ask you if you're picking anybody up? Do you sense, does that come into your expression at all?
Yeah, it depends. So right now, like the team that I kind of work with, I welcomed another medium. I love working with other mediums, because there have been some where there's across the United States where there's all ego and they don't want to work with other people. I'm like, no, please, I want another medium to make sure I'm not going crazy, Yeah. So right now I have a medium on the team that we work together where it's like, hey, I usually don't say what I'm getting. I'm like, I'm just curious, kind of, what do you feeling? And then she'll kind of give a little bit. I'm like, okay, perfect. We're on the same wavelength. Or we can be completely different, because you can go to a property and different mediums can pick up different errors. So I might be like, oh, there's a man here from the 1970s. She's like, I got the man from 1920s. I'm like, that's cool. Nobody's wrong. We're not here to down anyone. So yeah, so sometimes they'll come to me. Sometimes they want to see kind of like what my tools are picking up. A perfect example a few years ago where we were investigating a space in Lake Arrowhead, and it's known to be haunted by a little boy. It's known that space, and nothing was happening. We weren't getting anything on the gadgets. We weren't picking anything up on the voice recorder, and we were like, okay, what's going on? And immediately that's when the mediumship kicked in. He's not in here. And I was like, okay, you guys, he's not in here. Let's find out where he is, shall we? And I was like, where is he? And then I heard room 1, which was actually near us. And I was like, okay, to explain, that place was like a hotel, so people could stay there.
Got it. Okay.
And so there were ladies in my group, and I said, you guys, could you open the door? Do you mind opening the door to your room? And they were like, oh, absolutely. Open the door. They happened to have their own gadgets in there. Everything was lit up. Everything was going on. And they were like, oh my God. And I was like, I said, They said he was in there, and they were like, "Oh my God, we brought our own gadgets and toys and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Also, he's saying you brought some candy. Did you buy him?" Say, "Oh my God, we did. Hey, it's over there. We bought, whatever." So that was a good example of there, because they were like, one, how did you I was like, well, I tapped into the mediumship later. I didn't want to go into it like immediately where you watch those TV shows.
Yep.
They're like, I feel like there's something here. It's like, I don't need to do that. Like, that's not my focus immediately. So tapping into it, kind of getting, so as you can see, mixing in the gadgets and then the mediumship, it makes for a great experience.
Completely.
And yeah, validating and just like, okay, I validated that that's what I heard. He was in that room. This is what's going on. And it was really interesting. It was really fun. And then I was able to kind of draw him out of the room. Can you come back into this main room where you usually are? And so they can kind of see what, just prove that your existence more. And sure enough, the gadgets did start to go off in the other room. So that was like a perfect example of why I do this work. It was very, very interesting.
So why do you suppose then that little boy is still there?
Ooh, that property. If I remember correctly, it's been a minute. I want to say his mother was it was a, what do you call the prostitution, like a house where they held a whole bunch of prostitutes there.
Okay, so she was a madam.
Thank you. And I couldn't think of the word. And I believe she was killed up there. It's been a minute since I've been up there. That place, that property is awesome. If you ever come down to LA, we should totally go. Okay. I think she was killed. And so they kind of just hang out there. Or maybe he does not know where she is. There could be a different space of time. I don't know. It's because I felt like she definitely was there, but maybe he doesn't know that. No idea. But that property is infiltrated. Oh my God, with so many lost souls walking around, and people stay. You can stay there. You can book it. It's pretty cool.
Did you stay there?
Unfortunately, I had to. I rolled my eyes because I did not want to, but we had to.
and how did you feel about it after all that experience? How did you sleep? I mean, like, were you sleeping with one eye open? I mean,
well, one reason why I said, okay, fine, I'll do it, is there was another woman in the room with me, because it was like a two bed in the room or so. So I was okay, cool. However, now when I do my investigations, if I have to stay in a place for a longer period of time, I have this ritual which other people can use, where I actually will communicate with the spirits. And I very honest, I'm like, I'm staying here overnight. I'm only here till 10 a.m. I ask you to respect my space. I'll respect yours. I will keep the area clean. Literally, I'm communicating with them. I've done this a few times, and they stay out of my space. And awesome. We actually had the room where the main, like the head madam, what was that room called? They all have names. And there was a room I was in, and I said, she said, keep it clean. I said, I would keep it clean. Like, don't break anything. I will not break anything. All I ask is that you give us our space, because I scare easily. And she did. And that's happened about 3 other times. When I went to Lilydale last month, same thing, the house was infiltrated. And I was like, no, like, stay in my room, leave me alone. And they did, they kind of kept their space. So I would recommend that to anybody who they have to stay in a space where they feel like the energy is off or something's off. Just intuitively communicate, and I can guarantee you'll be fine.
Oh, that's awesome. So has there ever been a time then during these investigations where you've been like truly scared? Like chili bumps, your fight or flight is ready to, you're ready to run. Have there ever been experiences like that?
Yes, we had to do I was on another team, and we had to travel to Montana to do a Montana State Prison. And that place was huge. We actually needed more time. We should have had 2 to 3 days. We only had 1 to investigate. And myself and another investigator were sent to I wish I could show you, there's a tower that about 70, 80 years ago, there was a riot at the prison. And in order to stop the riot, they had to shoot a missile or a cannon, something kind of like a bomb to get them to, unfortunately, they had to do that because the prisoners were going crazy. So they shot something up there to end it, and it worked. But because of that, there were casualties, clearly.
Sure.
And we had to go up there. It was just me and another woman, and she filmed it, actually. I have to look at that footage, but I was okay. Level 1, we were fine. And she has me on camera. Level 2, I was like, do we have to go up there? She's like, we have to go up there. And
Oh
I was
boy.
very proud of her because she was like, we're going to do this. I was like, I'm not doing it.
Oh boy.
And then we get up to level 3. And mind you, there's nothing up there. It's completely empty. It's been there for a million years. You know, it's a very old prison, nothing up there. And I was like, we need to leave. We need to leave. We need to leave. I want to go. She's like, hold my hand. I was like, because I never get scared.
Right.
And she's like, you're scaring me. I was like, there's inmates all around us and I'm uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to keep my normal boundaries and I feel like I can't. It was almost like it was getting shaky. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
nope, nope, nope. I was like, we gotta go. Nope, we're out. And we went out. I haven't talked about that in a few years. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that. And I was like, please don't ever. She was like, I know we had to, and you were with me and we're okay. I was like, I know, it's just, I'm not used to, as an investigator, I tend to not put myself in situations like that.
Sure.
I always got very good boundaries. And I said, that's the first time that it felt like my boundaries were pushed and I was very uncomfortable. But now I know in the future how to handle that because I wasn't prepared. We were just doing a tour. We were like, okay, let's do our tour. And I was like, and I didn't prepare myself. So I'd say that one was pretty intense, highly intense.
Wow. Oh, that is intense. That's very cool. So,
very
okay. All right. So let's see. You mentioned Lilydale. So this is a perfect time for us to segue into what you're doing today. You're teaching. You've come so far in the last 3 years, and I'm so proud of you. And I love watching you just continue to move forward and expand and grow. It's awesome. So yay for that. I'm a cheerleader over here. So tell us about then Lilydale and what Lilydale is and what you're doing there. And
yeah. So Lilydale, please look it up. It is a beautiful hamlet community in upstate New York. So very close to Buffalo. I want to say exactly 60 miles out of Buffalo, New York. And I want to say the houses were built anywhere between 1850 to 1920. That's kind of the span. It could be further, I'm not sure. But in order to live in Lilydale, you have to be a registered medium. And it's always been that way. It's been that way since you go into their assembly hall and there's photos all over the walls of past mediums, spiritualists, speakers, psychics. It's incredible because we're just so here in the now that we don't realize that what we're doing has gone back way before then, way before 1850, you know, but it's like seeing these people, you're just like, oh wow, like this is crazy, like this is what they did in the, you know, in the 1800s or whatever. So so basically Lilydale is open year round, but its peak season is between late June to, I want to say, early September, where there's so many tourists, there's so many visitors. They can come and get spirit messages from psychic mediums, they can get readings, they can go attend all the services, they can take classes. There are lots and lots of classes that are held there. It's just a lovely community that I would highly recommend for any spiritualist to please visit. And so I have been asked to teach a class there. So that class is on August 20th of this year. It is paranormal investigating. So Beyond the Veil, Paranormal Investigating 101.
Excellent.
It's an all-day class from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And then later that night, I will be holding an actual paranormal investigation where I'll be taking the registered guests we're still trying to figure it out, but to a haunted part of the property, which I'll be honest, I feel like a lot of places in Lilydale are haunted. It's beautiful because they're like beautiful Victorian doll houses. And so I have to figure out like, okay, what would be cool to take them into. And so, yeah, that's all happening. I'm so excited. I'm so honored. I know it's probably super hard to get a teaching gig in Lilydale, and yeah, I'm there. So I'm super excited about that.
That's fabulous. I mean, that is fabulous. I'm so happy for you. While you're in Lilydale, so speaking of haunted, if Lilydale is a town of spiritualists and mediums, does that energy differ from, say, going to the hotel with the madam that you felt, or the prison that you were at? I mean, how different does that feel? I would think I haven't been there, but I would think that it would be a little bit of a higher vibe, a higher energy,
Mhm.
happier or more loving feeling than, say,
Yeah,
the
you
prison.
are. No, you are absolutely right. Whereas I say, oh, it's haunted there, but it all felt nothing but love and light in Lilydale. I want to make that very clear. I've always been curious as to what other spiritualists feel when they visit Lilydale, because there's an inspiration stump that you can walk to, and it's a stump that's been there for a long, long time, and that's where the mediums give their messages.
The tree
And on
stump.
it's yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's very high vibe. And when I walk that path, I actually see spirit guides more clearly there. I see them already in my clairvoyance, but I can actually see them. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So every time a spiritualist goes, I'm like, what was your experience? Please tell me what you saw. So another friend, she sees fairies there. She's like, I can see fairies, different things.
Yep.
But no, so yes, the vibe is higher. I stayed in the guest house there last month, a beautiful cute Victorian house from, I want to say, 1890. And when I arrived, I saw spirits there welcoming me in, women. Come in, come in. I was like,
Oh, that's awesome.
okay. I was like, but see, I was still like, okay, I have to sleep in that same house. I was like, but they were welcoming. And I did the thing I said to you earlier where, I got in, I got comfortable, and intuitively I said, I scare easily. Yes, I'm an investigator, but I scare easily. Do me a favor and give me my space. I'd appreciate if you didn't enter in here. And they didn't. I was in one of the master bedrooms, which I'm sure has been lived in for a very, very long time. And
Right.
I was very, very comfortable, very comfortable. And usually I can pick up if energy enters a room, and I didn't feel that. They completely respected my space. And so, yes, there's the high vibe that one thing people have to realize when it comes to investigations is you have to communicate with the spirits like they are a person, because guess what? They
They are.
walked the earth. They were
Yep.
here. You're not like, oh, it's an evil person. They might have been, they might have been a mentally dark person, but
Mhm.
you could still talk to them. You can still
Mhm.
say, stay out my space, or hello, or why are you here? Whatever that may be. And so I do that when I go to places like that. So
Well, that's a really good point. I think a lot of people do forget that they were people and they still are
yeah,
people. They're just
exactly.
on the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you too regarding Lilydale. With that vibe being so much higher there, you've got so many mediums, you've got uh messages going all day, all over the place.
Mhm.
While you're there, are you able to sense that it's a little bit different for you to connect and deliver? And I ask because having been to Arthur Findlay in England,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
place is lit up like a divine Christmas tree. And
Wow.
when we go there with that pure intention from everybody for decades long, that this is where we go to learn, we learn to hone in on our own spiritual sights and hearing and gifts and all that, there is a little bit easier sense, like it just like happens.
Yes.
So I'm just
Yes.
wondering like how you feel, like what's it like in Lilydale as you're delivering readings or messages or even investigating?
Yeah, it's easier because last summer I went as well, and I had to give messages like at the stump to the audience there. And I shocked myself at how clear, because I'm trained in platform, but that's not what I do. However, when I did that, I was like, wow, like the energy was different. It was clear. It came out. It was free flowing. It was evidential.
Mhm.
It's easier there. Like, the energy is just, it's quite intense.
Mhm.
And, so yeah, so I would say that being there, and also it's humbling. It's very humbling to be at a place like Lilydale. I don't walk around, and I hope others don't walk around like I am almighty powerful psychic medium. That's
Mhm.
not, it's,
No,
it for me, it's a complete opposite. It's like, wow, I'm very honored. That's how I feel.
completely.
I feel like I'm connecting, yeah, with the ancestors there, the energy there, the people that walk the grounds. I'm like, wow, I'm honored to actually have been able to give messages, or I'm honored to be able to teach there, or to even be in this space. I really am. And so it's a humbling experience. And I hope, I'm actually curious. I won't say I hope, but I'm curious if other spiritualists feel that when they walk the grounds at Lilydale or even Arthur Findlay, which I can't wait to go to one day. So
Oh, in December. I'm going in December.
Mhm. Jealous.
um, so Oh, I have so many questions. I want to go back to the paranormal. Okay, we're gonna go back to the paranormal, and we're probably
Okay.
gonna edit this out and put it back with the paranormal. Okay,
Oh, I see.
since we're
Okay, no
bouncing
problem.
around. Um, Talk to me about the tools that you use. You've got the spirit box, you've got the Mel meter, you've got that teddy bear that lights up, you've
God,
got,
yes.
so talk to us about that. Just a brief description of what they are and what they do.
Yeah. So the K2 meter, that one, it lights up. So I believe it's always on. I wish I had one in front of me. It's always on green. And then that was the easiest to have as a beginner investigator because you can ask yes or no questions. And you're like, is this, do you know you're alive? And then nothing happens. So you know you're dead. And then it might move. The red. You're like, oh,
Interesting.
okay, got it. Yeah. So that one's super easy and you can carry it in your pocket or in your purse. So that's called the K2 meter. The spirit box is the one I mentioned the most. That one, you can either look up spirit box or spirit scanner. It sounds like white noise and it's scanned like a radio frequency and it scans. So you might hear the radio a little bit, but you will be able to actually hear voices, words, sentences come out of that. So that one is, to me, a really good one to have because instead of just getting yes, no, that, you're getting like, yes, I am. No, I'm not.
Okay.
Hello, like longer things. So I would recommend that one. And by the way, everything I'm mentioning, you can find on ghoststop.com, or you can even find some of them on amazon.com, like super easy, either or. Another one is, I have to mention the cell phone. Your cell phone could work so many ways. First off, one, you have your flashlight. Then you have your voice recorder, voice memo that you can use.
Yep.
There's those apps you can use. You can use your camera, different things. I just have to mention that in case someone's like, I'm not buying all those tools, then don't worry about it. Bring your cell phone with you.
Excellent.
And then let's see, the Boo Bear, that's the one you mentioned, the bear. I personally don't ever want to own one, but that thing is terrifying. So it's a bear that has gadgets built inside of it and it lights up as well. And so you can place it in any room during an investigation, go about your business, and you might hear it talk. So it says, ooh, that tickles, or oh, it's cold, or oh, hug me again.
Wow. Okay.
And you're like, that's interesting, especially at 2 a.m. in the morning. So it's letting you know that there's energy nearby. And actually, if it does start speaking to you, you can put like your voice recorder next to it to see if you start to hear noises, or you're like, oh, there's some energy in that corner. Let's go work in this area to do an investigation and so forth.
Mhm.
But it scares me, so I don't want one. Let's see what else. There's I'm sorry, there's so many I'm trying to think of. My favorite that is super, super loud, it's the EMF meter. The EMF, it tells you there's energy nearby, or the frequency, okay, so let's say it's at I'm just giving a number, 2.1, and all of a sudden it starts to go up 3, 4. It's usually indicating that there's energy nearby in the space. So that one's really good to have. That one you can hold it, or you could just sit it down and see if it starts to move by itself. The temperature gauge is another one. That one's super easy. I think I bought one on Amazon. It looks like a little mini gun that you just kind of point in a certain area. And let's say that area is to 71 degrees. And then you kind of point it to that area and it drops to 61. You're like, okay, that's weird. This is the same room. Why is there such a vast temperature difference? And that's usually indicating that there's spirit nearby if it's dropped. So those are just some of the top tools I can think of right now. But I would recommend for new investigators, definitely that K2 meter or the spirit box scanner.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So the temperature one.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to feel that personally.
Yeah.
You've got to feel that. So like you're standing in a room and there's a spot that is like 15 degrees cooler.
Mm-hmm.
What's going through your mind?
It's the reason I'm pausing, because sometimes a lot of spirituals, they feel coolness with spirit. Sometimes they feel heat. And I do both, either or. So I'm like, okay, wait. I'm like, wait, I'm super hot. Is that, or no, I'm super cold. So what's going through my mind is I'm like, there's energy here. Let me kind of shift my focus, or let me bring out another tool, or let me use my mediumship. It depends. I want to say it depends on where you are, the location, what evidence you've gotten so far while you've been there. Do you see anything at the light? Different things. But yeah, temperature changes that much, typically. The first thing you also want to do is debunk as well, debunk and see, which is like, okay, is there a window open? Is
Sure.
there AC over there? Is there a vent there? Is there a crack in the door? And if you have none of those things, then yeah, that's when you would start to freak out a little bit. But every so often, every so often that you're like, oh wait, oh, there's a crack underneath the door. Never mind, that was just some wind, and you just chill out. So it just depends. There's a lot of different aspects to it.
Fascinating. That's
Mhm.
fascinating. Have you ever been to the Cecil Hotel?
I have not. I've driven by it before like this. It's, I get the weirdest vibe from it. Would I ever investigate it? Yes, if I had like a large team with me. There's something very creepy about that place,
There
but
is
no,
something totally creepy about it. Yeah.
yeah.
A girlfriend and I stayed in that hotel back in 2006, I think. 5?
Ooh.
No, 7. 2007. And
Uh-huh.
we didn't know what it was. We were there for a oneness conference, to be in
Awesome.
bliss. And
Mhm.
this place was off. This was
Ooh.
really before I was opening up. So
Mhm,
I
mhm.
hadn't quite dialed into my senses yet, but
Yeah,
I could
exactly.
feel. And back then when I would travel, I took a whole bag of, when I was going to hotels, I cleanse the space when I get in there. I put crystals out on
Mhm,
each corner. I have my Reiki. I Reiki the area, the space, the cleanse,
mhm.
the energy. And my room felt really good. The rest of the hotel was off.
Oof.
And my friend Kathleen, her room she had a big red stain on her carpet, which, our first thought was a big blood stain.
Yeah.
But she was awake all night long, pretty much terrified, because she saw like a shadow figure at the end of her bed with red eyes. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, she got out. She just went down to the front desk, said, "I need a new room. You've got to get me out of here. I need a new room." So that weekend we were there, we coined it the Discarnate Inn. We sensed all these
Yeah.
beings, these entities, these whatever. Um,
Ugh.
but yeah, it was, and then it all comes out, in this last 10
Mhm,
years, where
mhm.
in 2013, I think that girl
I think so. Mhm,
disappeared and was found dead in the water tower on top of the
mhm.
hotel,
Yeah.
and everything that's come from that. So yeah, I was wondering if you might want to investigate that, or if that's a little bit too intense.
I would, it's I could be wrong, but I know Ghost Adventures just recently investigated, I think last year, and they were like, they're never gonna let anybody else in this building. So I don't know
Mhm.
how accurate that is, but
Mhm.
they were very much like the Cecil Hotel is done with the paranormal aspect. Don't know. But if I had the opportunity, yeah, I would. I just need someone else with me.
Oh,
And
for sure.
I'm very optimistic with my boundaries. It's like as long as I know what I'm getting myself into and
Mhm.
setting that intention, yeah,
Mhm.
I would totally do it.
So tell us what else you're doing. I see you on TikTok. I love your TikToks. They are entertaining, they are educational, they are super fun. So talk to us more about that.
Yeah, so last year, I apologize. Last year, I completed a master teacher program under the Lisa Williams School. So I'm a certified master teacher. And so now I've been trying to teach. I've been teaching a lot. I've been mentoring as well. It's been fantastic. In addition to Lilydale and teaching then, I'm also going to be doing like weekend workshops in regards to paranormal investigating and using your psychic mediumship aspect to that.
Awesome.
And then, yeah, I've been putting myself out there a lot more when it comes to TikTok. I was totally against it. I was like, I'm not doing that. That's totally weird. But I was like, you know what? Why not? Like, I'm passionate about this project. I'm passionate about this work and the projects I do, but also am silly and I love to have fun. So you go to my TikTok, it's a mixture of history because I love history. I love
Mhm.
old Hollywood. And then it's also some silly things, crazy things. I do silly stuff every so often,
Mhm.
but then it's also a few clips and excerpts from my investigations or some photos I've taken. So I try to mix it up as often as possible. I don't try to keep it one note. I don't try to focus so much on the dark. I just like to keep it lighthearted. So yeah, you go to my TikTok, please follow me and just check out some of my videos. And I usually will post the same videos on my Instagram, and my Instagram is the same. It's at Intuitive Tawny.
at Intuitive Tawny
Yeah, for both.
for Instagram and TikTok. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So your workshops that you're doing, teaching in investigators, the psychic mediums, are those in person in LA, or are those on Zoom, online?
Okay. So the workshops are going to be planning. So the Lilydale class, that's going to be in person on August 20th. The other workshops that I am working on and will be scheduling, those will be online via Zoom.
Excellent. So anybody can go.
Anybody can go. I don't care where you are, please join.
Is the being sensitive a prerequisite, or is it more geared for?
Oh, I apologize. I would say it's not. We're geared towards fully being a psychic medium. It's, I mean, yeah, because to be honest, I feel like everybody's intuitive, and I love working with people that have no idea how to work their, intuition, and to be able to play with that in class and breakout sessions or helping them. It's great. So no, it is definitely not a prerequisite.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really exciting to watch somebody come into those senses. It's because it's a little bit different for all of us. It's just a little bit different for all of us. Like you saw with your physical eyes, you saw auras and a spirit. And I haven't seen that. I saw an aura with my physical eyes 3 times. But it's not like, I don't know why that like popped in. I don't know if I happened to be more open in that moment. I've tried and tried ever since. So I don't know how that worked. Maybe it's just unplugged in my head, but it's just fascinating to watch everybody to come into their own, and start to really understand that this other world, we are in it, we are in it. I once heard a teacher, somebody asked a teacher, where is heaven? Where is the other side? And she says, it's as close as you putting your hand out in front of you.
Yep.
And it's true. Lisa Williams talks about how there are spirits everywhere we go, because everywhere, because there's, Mavis Patilla talks about, people come back to the places that they love to be.
Yeah.
There was an experience with, somebody thought their kitchen was haunted because their drawers would open up. And Mavis went to check it out, and it was nothing but the lady who lived there, decades ago. She just loved her kitchen. And so she would, come in and do her thing, and the drawers would open up, like she was making tea. So yeah, it's everywhere around us. And I love that you are getting out there and finding this scientific proof with, with using your psychic medium hat as well. I love that. And I can't wait to do it with you.
It's fun. I cannot wait. Like, please come out here. It's fun, because as I said earlier, I don't want to focus on the darker, weird aspect of it. I love history. I love learning about their lives and what their dreams were, what their goals were, what were their heartaches and I get that, during some investigations, just communicating and making them feel heard, but also making sure they stay there. And not like, oh, I found a friend. I'm like, no, it's like, we're just here. This is our intention. This is why we're here. We're going to be leaving. You stay here. And it's always worked very, very well. So yes, I cannot wait for you to come here and do the events. Or I go up there. So.
Well, there's lots going on in San Francisco. Let's be clear. There's lots going on. So who inspires you?
I'm just scanning. Let's see.
It's okay.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in all areas, like all the TV, film, books, literary, spirituality, all types of people inspire me. The one that comes up immediately is Lisa Williams. She is someone who I recently started working with her. Like it wasn't like I've been with her for years. This is someone that almost like spirit made me. They were like, okay, it's time, go. And I was like, wait, what? Oh, why am I in this class? What is happening?
Yes.
And this within the last 2 years, and I remember watching her class, and I was like, wow, everything she's telling me or teaching us, it's actually working. I have to know more. I have to learn more. But during that time of identifying how talented she was, I also felt like there was another path I was supposed to take. Because what a lot of people don't understand is that in my corporate, I'm a leader, I'm a manager. I've always done like director positions, manager positions. So I naturally am a teacher, a trainer, a coach, just what I've always done. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, take those skills and apply it to spirituality. I was like, how do I do that? And I was pushed into taking that master teacher course and guided to it. And it intertwined with Lisa as well. And so I took that class was 9 months. It was 8 months online and then 1 month in person. And I learned not so much about just teaching, I learned about me and how I work and how I work with other people and how I can develop other people and also my faults and my weaknesses. And so I always mention her as someone I look up to because she's such a positive, uplifting, non-judgmental person. And one thing I love about her is that she doesn't compete with anyone. She doesn't compete with her students. She doesn't compete with her friends. She's just who she is, and she genuinely wants to see you succeed.
Completely.
And that's what I always tell people. I always speak very, very highly, and I have so much respect for that woman.
Me too.
So
totally.
she's number one.
Yeah.
And the next is totally random, but I was going to say RuPaul.
All right.
So random. That's why I said this kind of goes into all aspects of the life. But RuPaul, I think he's a brilliant businessman. I think he's excellent communicator, just kind of watching. And it's not just his show, it's just different things I've seen over the last 20 plus years. Yes. Excellent communicator. I think he's fun. I think he's open-minded. I've seen him get readings from psychic mediums, yes. And he's just, I just love his energy and his aura. And so he's one. And then let's see who else. I'm probably the last one. I'm gonna say Oprah Winfrey. Surprisingly, I'm not a huge fan of Oprah's show. I liked her show, but what it was is I respected her. So I would see her as a person, and in the media and her communication and how she carried herself and how I loved how she always remained neutral when it came to different politics or things that people, she always remained neutral to not create any controversy or any issues. And so I've noticed those things, and people are like, they're like, oh, I love the Oprah show. And I'm just like, oh, it's okay. And I was like, but I really think she's amazing. I really think she's amazing. So those are the three that come at the top of my head. I know there's more, but yeah, those are, I would say, the three people that inspired me.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. So is there anything that you would like to leave everybody with? Do you have inspirational words? Do you have anything you'd like to impart on the guests, on the audience, listeners?
I would just say be open-minded, especially when it comes to spirituality. And this is even if you already do this work. Be open-minded, because there are so many aspects to spirituality. There's so many. And to give you an example, there's someone that might say, oh, I'm a psychic medium. I hate tarot, or it's like, that's fine, but be open-minded, because everyone has their own set of gifts that were bestowed upon them here. Be open-minded, especially in paranormal investigating is one of them, so don't feel or automatically assume that it is dark or that it's negative, because it really doesn't have to be. It's about being positive, setting your intention. And then the very last thing is, for those that do this work, the spirituality, I want to just say it's so imperative to be humble. Please be humble. And I say that many times because there's a lot of people that, I don't know, they take this for granted, or there's ego with the work, and I don't feel like it needs to be. Just be humble and be grateful and be thankful for the gifts and use it for good. That's it.
Absolutely beautiful. You are amazing, Tawney. I'm so happy to have had you here today. Thank you so much for being with me on something super spiritual. Oh yeah. We'll edit that out. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. Oh my God, this has been so much fun. Everybody, if you have an interest in the paranormal, if you want to get to know a little bit more about it, check Tawney out at Intuitive Tawney on Instagram, Intuitive Tawney on TikTok. Take a look at her class coming up in August at Lilydale. If you're on the East Coast, I hear it's like a 6-hour drive from New York City.
Yeah, it's about that.
So take a look at her stuff. She's got some really good stuff to share with you guys. Thank you, Tawney.
No, thank you. It was amazing. I really appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you again for listening to the Something Super Spiritual podcast. If you know someone who would enjoy this episode, please do share it with a friend. For show notes, links, and to purchase a mediumship reading, my website is somethingsuperspiritual.com. You can also easily subscribe and follow the show on your favorite app, sign up for my newsletter for bonus content, and to keep the conversation going, you can easily join the Facebook community. It's all right there at the website, somethingsuperspiritual.com. Signing off for now, namaste.